Before we get going with the EUI64 demonstration, thought I'd take a look at, let you see what a DHCP for IPv6 looks like. This is actually a release. I released and then got it back. But here we have a solicit and an advertise, and if we were doing auto configuration, we would have a solicit and an advertise, and the advertise, instead of in this case giving me a full IP address, would give me, and it's here 2605A001407, which is the same network that here we go, which is the same network that I showed in the lecture off of my wireless access point, my router from Spectrum. So the IPv6 2605A0001407-843E is the network portion, and then we have a host portion of that. If I were only using the if I were using the auto configuration and not getting a full IP address, I would have the solicit message, the router solicit, we're looking for a router, and then the router advertisement. The router advertisement would only send me the address of the network, and my system would generate the host portion. But in this case, the whole thing, we have a solicit, advertise, a request, and then a reply. Request is from me, from my link local address, the FE80, to the multicast address for the router, the FF02, and then the source is going to be from the router. It's a different address to me, back to me, to my link local address, and then the advertise, and then I request, and then it replies, and it allows me to have that address. So a little quick look before we do the EUI64 configuration. Okay, what we want to do here is to configure for stateless auto configuration a router for EUI64. I want to drag over a little article and go through it on EUI64. What is it? Cisco uses the EUI64 format to perform stateless auto configuration of hosts. Stands for Extended Unique Identifier, process of obtaining an IPv6 address automatically, does not make use of DHCP. So we're not using the DHCP server, and again we'll do that when we talk about the IPv4 utilities. There is a DHCP for IPv4 and IPv6. It uses, there is an IPv6 service which is supported by the Cisco. Stateless auto configuration is an alternate way for IPv6 addresses to be assigned to hosts automatically. Now this is one where we actually are going to specify EUI64 when we do it. Common form of stateless auto configuration copies the host's MAC address and expands the 48-bit number to 64 bits by adding the FFFE in the middle, with the middle 16 bits here. If the chosen interface identifier is globally unique, as an Ethernet MAC is, the universal local bit, called the U bit, the universal local bit down here is going to be changed to a 1, which is then going to start the address with a 2. So 02 in this case, 90. U bit to 1 for global scope is set to 0 for local scope. When the addresses are constructed with an interface identifiers that are not guaranteed to be globally unique, and address with a local scope should not be routed to the internet. 64 bits form this way form the lower half, the host half of the 128-bit address. So we start out with the 48-bit MAC, and then we look at the U bit, and the U bit in here, 8 bits going to be 0, 2, using our 12484 hexadecimal. So it will be a 2. 0, 2 is what we're going to start with. So with that, I've got one of them configured here. What I want to do is go in and configure this interface here, FA00, and we're going to make up some stuff, obviously, as we do this. Okay, so click on this, and I did that, and there it is. It went on the other screen, and then it is R2, router 2. So what we're going to do, and I know we haven't talked about at this point in the course Cisco configuration, but just bear with me, and you will learn these commands. We're going to go to enable mode, which allows us to then get into configuration mode. Configure terminal. One of the things that we have to do with Cisco routers is turn on IPv6 routing in the config mode, and you know it's config mode because it says config right here. IPv6 unicast routing. So we'll turn it on, and then we'll go to interface fast Ethernet 00, because that's the one that is connected to our host out there. Then we'll do IPv6 address, and we'll just use one, FA00:1:////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////////// 64, and then I'll type EUI64. Okay, and then IPv6. We have to enable IPv6 on. And then we really need to give it the no shutdown command to bring the interface up. IP interface, let's see, IPv6. When you're doing these commands, and after we get into the using the configurations, anytime you do IPv6, you have to specify IPv6. If you say IP, it's just going to be IPv4. So we can now look at the Fast Ethernet 00 on the two interfaces that are up. And I had previously done the serial. We have an FE80, a link local address on these. But on this one, I FA00, and then I use 1. And then using the 2 here, 200C, and then C, and then we have the and this would be the Cisco, and 0, and we put the FE in the middle here, 31A201, to get the address. It's going to be a little bit easier to see in the device that we're going to do. So we have now given it, or had it give itself, and I jumped up and down, and it's got FFFE in the wrong one, the FA00. FFFE is in it also. If we go to our computer here, and let's do an IP config all, we don't have any addresses. We do have a MAC address 002 on down the line. So what we're going to do is go into it and go down here and configure it for auto config simulator. We immediately get an address. So we can go back to the desktop. Let's do IP config, if I can spell IP config. Let's see, does 6 work on that? IP config. Well, Okay, let's try a different IPv6, not config, not IP config v6, IPv6 config. Finally get there. So we have default gateway, which should be the address of and we'll look at that. The default gateway should be the address, the link local address of the router. We have our FE80 colon 200 CE. You have the FFFE that's configured in here. The link local address up here. Similar thing. If we do an IP config, we should be able to see the IPv6 address as well as the MAC address. So we have a 00, so we know that we're going to have a 2 in there. So FA001 20202. So we have the 202, and then we have a 1 6, and then we insert our FFFE 526E39. So we've used the MAC address in order to create an IPv6 address. If I go back to this guy, let's see, FE80A201, and I don't try to remember FE31A201. Let's see if that is in fact the default gateway. Let's see, link local, what did the default gateway was here, the default gateway, the FE31A201. So it is using the link local address as the default gateway. So not so quick and pretty dirty, but a configuration using the EUI 64 address to automatically give IP addresses to the hosts that would be on our network.